Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. This is normally our Tuesday thing, but obviously this past Tuesday was election day, major day in the country. So we pushed our college football podcast out until Thursday today. So whenever you're listening to it, hopefully you're getting to this before Saturday when all the games start. So yeah, I got my main man Ryan Langford with me.
Thank you. You're too kind. Right. Glad to be here.
No doubt. Former Fighting Illini, former Indianapolis Colt, former BC Lion, former Ottawa Red Black, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider, and former Winnipeg Blue Bomber. So correct. My main man knows all about football. He knows about catching that thing. He knows about returning that thing. He knows about making plays. And he is here to talk to us about college football. What's good with you, Ryan?
Hey, man. Glad to be here. Let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to have you. All right, man. We'll get straight into last week. Obviously, this past Tuesday, coincidentally, same time as Election Day. I don't know why they did it, but okay. That was the first college football playoff ranking release, and we'll get to that in the third topic. But first, we're gonna go ahead and look back to a couple of key games this past weekend, and the first one. Well, you know what? Where do you want to start? You want to start with Ohio State, Penn State, or you want to start with A&M, South Carolina? I know you're a Big Ten.
Yeah, we can start Big Ten. Get it out the way.
No doubt. So obviously, Penn State was number 3 at the time. Ohio State was ranked number 4.
Yep.
So big time top 5 matchup, and at Happy Valley at Penn State, and I was one of the people who drank the Kool-Aid. I thought that this was a year Penn State was going to be able to get it done. I didn't believe in Ohio State's defense. It didn't look quite the same. Mm-hmm. I wasn't so sure about their offense. That also is looking kind of up and down, not necessarily consistent, as explosive as we've seen in past years, etc. And so when you see things like that, you say, okay, this might be the year that they can kind of get caught. And I'm not talking about the rivalry game with Michigan. I'm talking about by someone else in the conference. And Penn State was looking really good, and they were all set and ready to go. And as usual, they wet the bed. Plain and simple. There's no way around it, right? And let me say this: as a Notre Dame football fan, I know this quite well. You're a team that wins all the games you're supposed to win, look good and all that. But when you got to play against the big boys, somehow you always come up short. And that is what Penn State has managed to do time and time again. James Franklin is now, I want to say, 1-14 against top 5 ranked teams in the 1-14 against top 5 ranked teams in the Big Ten. No, since he's been head coach at Ohio State, I think he's I want to say he's got a losing record. I can't remember the exact numbers, but he has a losing record against top 25 teams. Yeah. And I think he's 1-9 now, or 1-10 against Ohio State. So overall, he's not a guy who can get it done. He recruits extremely well. His defenses are always fast. They're always athletic. He sends players to the league, whether or not he sends tight ends. He sent a couple of quarterbacks. He sent a number of wide receivers. He sent running backs. But when it comes to winning the big games on the collegiate level, he just can't get it done. So let's start there. What did you think of this game, and what do you think is the problem with James Franklin and Penn State? This is a blue blood program.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I, like you, enjoyed the Kool-Aid that they were serving at the party because I thought it was this could have been it, and this was kind of their moment, and for both coaches too, Ryan Day on the other side too, but I thought Penn State was going to be able to hold themselves a little bit better, but it's tough. I respect James Franklin for taking the ownership, right? Because that as a coach is I think such an important role to do to be the guy, but within the team, they know what needs to change. I, from the outside, don't really know what needs to change. It's tough to say, but he's on the hot seat because time and time again, like you said, they get in these moments when you think this is that year that they're going to turn that new leaf, and it doesn't happen.
Right. Now, the beautiful thing is, in past years, 14 playoff, this loss would have been extremely punitive and probably would have knocked them out of the running for a playoff berth. However, now we've got 12. So you still have the opportunity if you're Penn State, depending on how things shake out, you still might even win the Big Ten and have a first round playoff bye, but you will likely get in. I think the first ranking, and we'll get to that, has Penn State at what, 6? Okay, and we'll talk about that some more later. But Penn State's still a very good football team, a very talented football team, but I don't know what it is. So if you had told me going into this game that in the first quarter, Will Howard from Ohio State would throw a pick 6, Penn State would be up 10-0, and you're in a position where you're really, all the momentum is with you. If you had told me that, I say, this is the year Penn State gets it done.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, all of that happened. But what else happened? Penn State managed to score 3 points, 1, 2, 3, the rest of the way, and end up losing 20-13. There's just no excuse for that. I just can't figure it out. Penn State, James Franklin seems to like to build fast, elite defenses, and I think over the last 3 years, no team in America has gotten more sacks than Penn State. And so they have elite pass rushers. They're very fast. But what it seems to me, and of course I'm not a coach and I don't build teams, but it seems to me they're consistently missing those big bodies in the middle of the defensive line, and then they get punished. Ohio State ran the ball 40 times for 176 yards. Not gaudy numbers, but every time they needed to, they were able to convert on the ground. You can't win that way if you can't stop that. What were your thoughts on the game and Penn State's game plan and the way they came out in this one?
Well, I thought, like you said, they were going to put up a little bit more, not more of a fight. I thought the offense was going to convert a little bit more going towards the end. They got a really powerful tight end who makes a lot of plays all over the field, and he was kind of non-existent towards the end of the game, and that hurt for them. And Ohio State, like you said, their offensive line, dominated. Defensive line, they won in the trenches. And that really helped them run the ball and just be a physical team against Penn State.
Yeah, that's just so tough. And again, Will Howard didn't have a great day. 16 of 24, 182 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Obviously, that was a pick 6 in the first quarter. But Drew Aller, he also didn't have a great day. 12 for 20, 146 passing yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. So you're wondering, when is Penn State going to get that difference maker at quarterback? I cannot figure it out. For all of the outstanding recruiting that James Franklin does, especially down in that DC metro area, like, for instance, Caleb Williams came out of that area. Now, I don't expect James Franklin to beat out Lincoln Riley in terms of getting a quarterback, because Lincoln Riley makes guys number 1 overall picks. He's got 3 of those now. Lincoln Riley makes guys Heisman Trophy winners. He's got 3 of those now, and a runner-up in Jalen Hurts, right? So I don't necessarily expect that James Franklin is going to beat out a Lincoln Riley for a quarterback, but believe it or not, there are a lot of really good football players right down in that DMV area. James Franklin consistently raids that area, but for whatever reason, he doesn't get the dynamic quarterbacks, and I'm wondering why. But year in and year out, Penn State cannot get it done. And to me, it's to the point that I'm like, James Franklin has to go. I truly feel that way.
He's on the hot seat for sure.
Now, maybe Penn State can make a run and get maybe to the semifinals and the playoffs, depending on how the seedings match up. But I don't know.
But like you said, with this playoff opportunity, they got it. He's got a shot to still be the hero, right? They can make it into the playoffs. They can turn it up. Like you said, they make it to the semifinals. And what if they do become that team that was serving the Kool-Aid? And they're like, boom, they come in and win that game. And it's like, okay. There it is. What was it? 1 and 14. So what? Game 17, game 15. It's like, all right, 16. He really, really made it happen. But until then, you might want to start thinking about who could fill that void.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me because, then you have to ask the question. Even if you say, okay, the matchup is favorable in the playoff, then you still have to ask the question again, what makes you think James Franklin can get that done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tough. It is tough. Matter of fact, I think the way the seedings are right now, if the playoffs started today, I believe Penn State would host Notre Dame. would be a very interesting game. Very interesting. You got two elite defenses there, but we'll get to that down the road. But
Yeah.
this is just frustrating to me. I mean, you're up 10-0, and the rest of the way it's 17. No, I'm sorry. The rest of the way it's 20-3.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't happen. That should not happen. So yeah, Penn State lays another egg and can't get the job done, and it's really disappointing. And realistically as well, OSU came into that game with a loss already. They had lost to Oregon.
Right.
And so I was thinking, remember Jim Harbaugh said that Ryan Day was born on third base? Kind of alluding to the fact that he stepped into a beautiful situation and just had to take it over. And he's not really that great a coach. I'm starting to believe that, right? Ryan Day has had everything. You know, he's had good coaches with him. He's had tremendous talent. He's another one, hasn't been able to get over the hump. And so I'm saying again, that might be a guy that might need to go as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look at it, granted, the strength of schedule is not great, but you look at a guy like Kurt Signetti at Indiana. He's got those guys balling. They're destroying people. Now, that said, again, I think they have the 103rd strength of schedule, but he's got his team playing ball. And so we'll see where they really are when they have to go to the shoe. We'll find out. But still, that's a very good football team that likely will end up in the playoff. So I don't know, man. You have these coaches at these extremely high to elite level blue blood type programs not getting it done. How long do you let that go on before you get rid of them? In the SEC, both of those guys would have been gone already because they don't play around. They do not. They're like, yo, remember, A&M fired Jimbo with $76 million left on his deal. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. Nope.
Right. Right. And I don't know where you draw the line in, in the Big Ten or in that program. Every program is different. Obviously, there's some belief for it to have been prolonged this long for both programs. And I think in a certain extent, this is a good sign for Ohio State and Ryan Day, because this is that game that they did kind of go in and get the win, right? So they're back in Columbus, like, man, all right, like this is that year. Like now they on the road to really go for it, because let's not forget, Happy Valley is not an easy place to play, right? They went in there, they hushed the crowd, they hushed the crowd, and they won. They got to win, and that's cool. Will Howard, I think, from that area, wasn't recruited by Penn State.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
That type of grittiness, that's cool. O-line, D-line played well, and I think they just kind of handled Penn State up front.
There you go. All right. Let's go ahead and move to the second game that we want to talk about here from last week. This was a big one to me personally. This was at the time number 10 Texas A&M and unranked South Carolina, and a lot of people were saying that could be a trip game for the Aggies, coming off the huge win against LSU at home the week before. They go on the road, they go to South Carolina, and they get beat in Columbia. Close game, but then they got blown out in the second half. 44-20, the Gamecocks win, man. What were your thoughts on that?
I loved it personally. As a fan of just football and environments, South Carolina was amped up from the beginning, right? They came in there, their fans knew that this was going to be a tough environment for Texas A&M. And they were fired up. They were making plays. Night game, hostile environment. They know that all eyes are on them, and this is a chance to get a big time win, and have maybe turn a program around or get people going in the right direction. So I thought they came in and played really, really well. Tough for Texas A&M to kind of lose control, I would say, at the end of the game. But I'm all about college football and the swing of momentum and emotions. And you can watch those highlights of the South Carolina sideline, the stands, like it's loud, it's rocking, like it's a environment that is tough to play in. And Texas A&M definitely felt that.
Yeah, no doubt. Just looking at the numbers here, the big thing, South Carolina ran the ball 43 times for 286 yards. That is not something you expect against Texas A&M, a team that has one of the best defensive fronts in the country,
Yeah.
and is coached by an outstanding defensive coach in Mike Elko. You don't expect a team to be able to go in there and just basically enforce their will on an A&M team like that, and especially maybe a Georgia or something like that. You say, okay, all right, maybe so, but not a South Carolina. That's to be totally unexpected, and they went and they did their thing.
Yeah, they made it a physical game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's ultimately what prevailed at the end of the game. Towards the second half, they just kept hitting them in the mouth, running them, boom. Big plays are breaking, and then you could just kind of see Texas A&M defense just start to lay down, missing
Yeah,
tackles and
that's right.
just not hustling to the ball. One guy, and that's when you see that and you feel that,
Mm-hmm.
it's all right. Start the bus. Let's go ahead
Yeah, I
and get
think.
on out of here. Try not to get
Yeah,
injured. Let's get on out of here.
yeah, I think it's tough once you break. It's
Yep.
really hard to get it back, and I
Uh,
think South Carolina sensed that, and they really, they were like, okay, we're gonna put the nail in these guys, and
yep.
they
Yep.
they did a great job, as you said, being the more physical football team up front, which again is uncharacteristic of going against an A&M defense and a Mike Elko coach team. So huge win. And why that hurt me, obviously, as a Notre Dame fan again, I was I was rooting for, and still am, A&M every game out the rest of the way, because
Yep.
as long as they continue to win, that adds value to Notre Dame beating them at their house in game one. So that's what you want to see if you're a Notre Dame fan. So that's tough, but A&M still has an opportunity to carry on and possibly get to the SEC championship game and maybe even win it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think at the end of the year they host Texas at their house, so
Mm-hmm.
that should be that's going to be a heck of a game. That's a
Yeah.
rivalry renewed that we haven't seen in some years.
Yep.
I guess pretty much since A&M entered the SEC, so that's going to be huge. And obviously Texas themselves, they still have a lot to play for. I think they
Right.
are number 5 in the college football playoff rankings. So a lot still going on, and I'll say this, and I'm sure I'll say it again later. I love the fact that we've got 12 teams, because I've long been a proponent of expansion out to 8. When
Right.
they said 12, I said, okay, cool,
Okay.
let's
I'll
get
take
it. Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, I'll take that. Right. But what it also does, though, it keeps the interest in the sport even higher later in the season, because
Yep.
in a 14 playoff situation, a lot of teams are completely out of the mix, and now it's okay, what bowl game are they going to get? And
Yep.
now you see so many more fan bases actively engaged. You see so many teams still with a lot to play for. I think that's amazing.
Yep. I agree. I'm excited, and I think they're gonna see once they get this, this first year, this first trial
Mhm.
run, if you will. They're like, yeah, we should have done this a long time ago.
They're going to tweak it, and then also they're going to see a lot more money rolling in too,
Yeah, you know it.
which
You
we
know
know
it.
that's right. We know that's really
You
the
know
end
it.
all be all, unfortunately. All right, so that was last week. Not a whole lot of huge games, but those were two big ones. So
Mhm.
now we'll go ahead. We will look ahead to this week coming, and so these are the two games I'm interested in, and we'll start with obviously we live in SEC country,
Yep.
and you are an Alabama house, so let's start there with Bama versus LSU. Man, what are you thinking about this particular matchup? How important is it? I think it's a de facto playoff game, right? The
Mhm.
loser is going to have 3 losses and should be out of the running for a playoff spot. When it comes to the big names and when it comes to the SEC, I will not put anything past the committee. That's my thing.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on this game this weekend?
Yep. Um, as an Alabama fan,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
gotta win. Right?
mm-hmm.
Must win game. Can't have one of those losses.
That's right.
What's going to happen is Milroe's going to have to come out and make good decisions with the ball. He's going to have to
Yeah.
rally the offense and keep these guys grounded, because it's already going to be a crazy environment. A lot on the line, a lot of attention just because of the
Mm-hmm.
history of the game. So he's going to
That's
have to
right.
keep his guys in it. LSU can't afford to give up the big play. That's the biggest thing. Alabama thrives off of getting the big
They
play.
sure do.
Ryan Williams going deep,
That's right.
and 2-play drives, 75 yards. Those
Mm-hmm.
one play, 85 yards. Those type of drives, big plays, big third downs. Got to keep them, off the field, because if it turns into a shootout and Milroe is settled in,
Mm-hmm.
I think Alabama would be able to outshoot them. but LSU's came off a bye week, I believe.
Yes.
They have been watching all the tape on mobile
Hmm.
quarterbacks. They struggled when
Great
they
point.
had where were they at? Texas A&M.
Hmm.
Struggled against Texas A&M. They were
That's right.
he was getting outside and
Mhm.
it just wasn't really working for them. So
Right.
if they can keep Milroe contained, I guess
Yeah.
that would be the word, and kind of
Hmm.
stop the offense, LSU can win the game. But I'm hoping, and I see Alabama coming in, not getting too wild in the atmosphere,
Hmm.
driving the ball down, making some big plays, and winning the game.
No, I think I can see that. This is at LSU, so that's a big thing. And
Tough,
obviously, we
though.
know night
Tough
game
to
in
play
Death
there.
Valley, right,
Yep.
right. Night game in Death Valley, that's going to be brutal. But the ESPN matchup predictor has Alabama 69.6% to LSU 30.4%. So clearly, they favor Alabama here, and the spread. Not that I'm really into gambling, but the
Mm-hmm.
spread has Bama at minus 2.5 points. So they're favored by 2.5 as well. But I think you were right on point with everything you said. But I think the key, and this is just me and my old school
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I'll say the key in just about every game, man, you got to establish the run. But the
You're right.
beautiful thing is having a guy like Milroe, who's a mobile quarterback who can pull it
Mm-hmm.
in the RPO and the read option game. He's able to help you establish the run because
Right.
that's another thing you have to account for, right? Because most of the time, defenses have the advantage of playing 11 on 10 because a true pocket passer, drop back guy, you
Mm-hmm.
know where he's going to be. But now
Mm-hmm.
when you got a guy like Milroe, you have to commit a defender to him, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
spy or schematically. So you have to be careful, and he is a guy that can help to open up the run game. So
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has the benefit of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you mentioned Ryan Williams, the absolute freak, the young freshman. Just, I mean, the guy's in there. He's got
Yeah.
35 catches and 700 yards. Like
Yeah, they gotta get
that's.
him some touches early. That's gonna be
Mhm,
his thing. First drive, boom, we got it. We throwing him a slant or we throwing a quick play. First down, just get him the ball, get a hit, get you settled in,
mhm.
because we're gonna need you every quarter, right? Because a lot
Right,
of
right.
times you know that you got playmakers and you know they can make a play once you give them the ball, but you
Mhm.
wait too late to get them the ball. You wait too late to
Oh,
kind of get them
okay.
going. So right off the beginning, get some
Mhm,
touches in your running back's hand, get your receivers a little warmed up, little
mhm,
drive routes, little out routes, get the flow
mhm.
going, get Milroe's confidence up, and then the boys should be able to run after there.
Okay, so you always hear them talking, them being, the college football pundits or analysts and stuff about getting the ball to playmakers in space.
Right.
You're a wide receiver. What was your favorite kind of thing? Did you like going downfield? Did you like the mid-range stuff? Did you like the bubble screens? Did you like, the quick outs? What were the type of things that you liked early in the game to get going in terms of play calls?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my game was always I was a deep threat. I had speed, right?
Okay.
So people would naturally either try to put hands on me because I wasn't
Hmm.
the biggest and strongest guy, but they knew if
Right.
they missed, you needed
It's
help
over.
over the top, right?
Right. Right.
Or the bubble screens and stuff. So what I really like,
Hmm.
my favorite route of all time, believe it or not, is a comeback route, right?
Really?
The reason I like a comeback route is because when you get lined up in front of me, of
Hmm.
course you're gonna think I'm gonna try to go deep because it's
Hmm.
speed, right? So boom, I'm running, breaking outside, making you turn your hips so that you think I'm rolling. And I know
Hmm.
I have the ability because I know where I'm running that I can really open up. I know
Okay.
exactly where my depth is at. Boom,
Hmm.
drop my hips, and this defensive back is thinking, oh, the way he's running, he's
Hmm.
got to be going deep. So now he's really rolling. I just drop out wide open, drop it down. So that was always my favorite route,
Hmm.
because that was then you had to respect. Okay, well, is he really going? Is he not running? That was my
Hmm.
thing. Getting the ball in space. I also like drive routes. So we had a concept called zebra, which was
Hmm.
basically short concepts. You had to post over the backside,
Okay.
dig, all that kind of stuff. So I like catching the drive route. If you can catch
Hmm.
the ball, less under 5 yards, 6 yards on the move, you can kind of spin the defense almost like a 200-meter dash,
Hmm.
running the turn on the turn,
Right.
and then rolling. That's an example of getting your guys balls in space.
Okay. Okay. A lot of times when they talk about getting the ball in space, you see a lot of the short stuff like the
Yeah.
bubble screens and the quick
Mhm.
swings out to the flats and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even maybe even like the little rub routes where you can get you do it right, you get a pick and free your
Yeah.
guy up. So
Yeah.
I like that though.
Yeah.
What is it?
Deep
The
routes,
flanker
I would say
strategy.
post too. Actually, now that I'm thinking more about it, post. I've got some
Okay.
pretty good tape on the post route. I like post because you can really attack a defensive back's leverage. So right, if you're running a
Mm,
post, that's like at 12 yards. So I'm gonna try
okay.
to run to your outside hip to
Okay.
make your body turn that way, and I know
Uh-huh.
I'm crossing your face that way.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
moving so fast. So as soon as you do this and I put my foot in the ground, by the time you turn and get this way, I'm
Hmm.
I'm out my break. I'm gone. Ball's in the
Nice.
air, you know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's why I like those are my kind of favorite deep routes. Post comebacks, deep digs. Anytime when I'm at that point of as a defensive back where you've got to respect that I'm going deep,
Hmm.
that's when my game opens up because now I got control of you. You don't know which way
Hmm.
I'm going. So those are my favorite routes for sure. Post,
Very
comeback,
nice. Very nice.
yeah,
So
all that stuff.
in watching Alabama, and I love talking to you about this stuff. This is awesome because
Right,
now
right.
we're talking receivers and obviously Ryan Williams being the main guy. How do you see him? What type of routes do you see them using him on the most, and where is he the most successful?
Yeah, so he is great. He's a great speed receiver, and he's got a great vertical to go up and get the ball. But he's not
Okay.
like a physical receiver who's going to run through you
Mm.
like a big guy, like an Andre Johnson type build, right?
Well, he's only
He's
17 anyway,
You
so
know
he
what I'm
can.
saying? Naturally, right? So he's
Right.
built, more like a T.Y. Hilton, like a
Okay.
smaller frame
Yeah.
receiver,
Yeah.
but has the ability to jump. So you got to
Mhm.
get him moving, post routes, drive routes, dig routes, anything to get him moving in space.
Mhm.
That's where he specializes. And I think he's got great body control too. You've seen some plays where they're throwing a deep
Yeah.
ball and
Yeah.
how he can adjust and
Mhm.
have body control to get his feet in bounds or to make a big
Mhm.
play. So I think those are what his strongest attributes are is his
Mhm.
ability to have the body control and read defenses and read leverages. That's really where you become that next level
Mhm.
when you know the route that you're running. You can see what the defense is playing based on your triangle, based on the
Mhm.
corner that's over you, the linebacker on the inside, and the safety's alignment. These outside, inside, you can read all that and
Right.
use that as leverage as you're running your route.
Is it normal for a freshman to be able to read all those things, or is he just advanced and that speaks to his natural ability as well as how he's been coached on the way up?
It can be a combination of everything. So I can only speak from experience, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't really understand the technicalities of football until
Hmm.
I got to the University of Illinois, right? And
Okay.
I had Paul Petrino, really breaking down football. I remember they sent
Hmm.
us the playbook, and this was now I'm coming from Paxton, which was a great school, academic school, but
Hmm.
athletically we were not competing with the other programs in the city, right?
Okay.
So our football program from watching, we didn't really watch film. Weight room was kind of optional, as you can see. You know what I mean? So I was out there running, catching. I was doing
Hmm.
the stuff that the football stuff. But I say all that to say that you can have a great coach who can change things around, because I know if I had half of the coaches or any type of coaches, and really towards the end of my career, I had a great senior year coach,
Hmm.
Willie Offer. He had some time in the NFL, and I think that definitely helped because he knew the process of making it there. He was able to talk to me about, you know, what the league is like and how you're going to need to do some things and all that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
coaching is really where it comes in, because naturally, as a player, he might be at a point where he's just out there playing, having fun, right? You don't
Hmm.
know what his schooling was in high school, but you do know that once you get to this level, there are coaches who can teach you the way to play the game and how to use your leverage and your body size against what you're going against.
Hmm. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So we'll leave it there. I have Bama close.
Yeah,
Obviously, I do believe LSU will come in well prepared.
I do
Obviously,
too.
they're at home, so
Yep.
that helps a whole lot. But I'm gonna roll with Bama here. I do think that Kalen DeBoer is the better coach out of the two. I
Hmm.
think Milroe, while he doesn't have quite the gaudy passing numbers Nussmeier has, his ability to, as we talked about, use his legs as well as his arm
Right.
makes him even more dangerous. And then, of course, you've got the young freaking Ryan Williams that can just make just incredible and amazing plays, such as that game winner against Georgia, which was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will move to Notre Dame and Florida State. So again, I ran down all the games this weekend. There's not a lot of big games in my estimation.
Nope.
This Notre Dame Florida State one is, though, not just because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but because if Notre Dame loses this game, they are likely out of the hunt for the playoff. I think they're at number 10 right now. They can't afford a second loss with the first loss having been so bad, the Northern Illinois. And it's not even like Northern Illinois has gone on to be a really good team the rest of the way. Like, they're not. So that was just a terrible loss for the Irish. And so they need to win out and probably win convincingly the rest of the way in order to secure the spot. And again, also, depending on what happens ahead of them in the rankings, there's still an opportunity for Notre Dame to host a first round playoff game. Way ahead, but we'll see. So yeah, Florida State, I cannot figure out what happened to them. Obviously, they lost a lot of talent to the league and to the transfer portal, but I cannot figure out why they are so bad this year. They are 1-8, and that's coming off an undefeated regular season and a conference championship last year, and they are just I don't even know.
It's tough. It's tough when it rains it pours, and it's just like belief is a big thing, right? And now they're getting later in the season where they're not getting that win. Every game there's a moment where everyone's like, "Here we go again." and that's the worst part of being in a situation like that. But it only takes one game to win.
That's right.
This probably not going to be the one they're going to get, though.
Well, listen, Notre Dame is, as you know, they are in no position to be looking past anyone.
That's true.
Or taking anyone lightly. Right now, this is the best stretch that Marcus Freeman has had as a head coach, and obviously this is his first stint as a head coach, as Notre Dame's head coach. But what did they lose? So they are on a 6-game win streak, I believe. 5, 6. They lost game 2, so
3, I think 5,
so. 7. 5-game win streak, and so cool. But there's no option here. They must win, and they must win and make it look good. And so the matchup predictor, ESPN again, actually has 96.5% in favor of Notre Dame. So Notre Dame is the heavy favorite here. They're at home, favored by 26.5. The weather is supposed to be probably in the 40s and may have some rain coming in. So nice and chilly for the Florida boys. So I think right. So I think if you're Notre Dame, probably the key here is you want to get physical with them. You want to break them early and make the rest of the game miserable. Make them quit. Put them in a position where they do not want to, they don't want to play the rest of the way, and they have to do it. And then really, at that point, you're going to do it on the ground. Notre Dame has one of the better running back rooms in the country. Jeremiah Love he's a beast. Elite breakaway speed. That's probably the best player on offense. They've got quarterback Riley Leonard. He can throw it a little bit. No one's going to confuse him with Dylan Gabriel out at Oregon, right? But the passing game has slowly but surely improved over the course of the season. But the biggest thing with him is he's super athletic and can beat you in the running game, a lot like Jalen Milroe. Not as athletic as Milroe, but pretty fast for a big kid. I think he's 6'3", 6'4", so he can move. And he's throwing it better. And Notre Dame they are interesting, but they've got to get this win, and they've got to win big. Well, here's my question to you. I certainly see Notre Dame winning this game and just moving on to the next one. You see any chance, any possibility of Florida State pulling this monumental upset, and how could they if they do?
Absolutely. It absolutely got a chance to win, right? This is all the reason why they should win. Right? Because they're not expected to win. You come in there, they already think we're going to lay down. We got to do something completely different. If I'm the offensive coordinator, I'm analyzing what Notre Dame has been doing on defense since week 1. I'm also watching the big play tape. I'm seeing everything that they gave up, why they're struggling, watching the big runs. I'm seeing mentality on the defensive guys, and that's what we're attacking. We've got nothing to lose. We got one win. We might as well try something different, and especially when it's like we've got no chance, and people are thinking us you know what I mean? Like we got nothing to lose. Why not? Why not?
I'm with you. Yeah.
So we gonna see, but it's gonna be a physical game, and that's the part that you can't fake, right?
Nope.
You can't fake physical. So you can trick shot, you can do whatever you need to do, but if it's one of those cold, misty, wet games, hard to really launch the ball, hard to do things like that. It's gonna be, hey, we running stretch, we running dive, we're coming right at you, our guys versus you guys, and let's see what you can do. And if it comes down to that type of game, Notre Dame is going to have their way.
So the thing I'll say, and this is to Notre Dame fans, to college football media, to anybody who is a college football person of any kind. Florida State may be having a horrible year. That team is still loaded with athletes. That's still Florida State, right? Athletes. And so that's right. So if you don't go out there prepared to play, they could ruin your season. And
no one expects it. And again, everyone in the stands is going to be against them. Like, so it's like, all right, well, shoot, it's all we got. And if they start seeing any sprinkle of success, that whole place just gets quieter and quieter and quieter. No matter how loud you are, your confidence starts to build of like, yo, this might be it. Northern Illinois took these boys for a ride in the beginning. We saw that.
That's right.
Hey, let's go. They vulnerable. Let's go. And if that happens, they're gonna be in a dogfight.
That's right. It's tough. And that's the thing I think that you cannot take for granted is the level of athleticism still on this team. But that said, I do believe Marcus Freeman is going to have these guys prepared coming out of their bye as well.
I agree.
And I think he's going to have them prepared. I think they understand what is at stake here. That's one of the better defenses in the country. Teams don't score a lot against them. They have one of the best secondaries in the country, even with Benjamin Morrison out for the remainder of the year, which is tough. That's our number one lockdown corner. But the true freshman, Gray, I can't remember his first name, starts with a J, but Gray, Benjamin Morrison said that he is supposed to be better than him, the true freshman corner. Yeah. And so he's been obviously seeing a lot more time now with Benjamin Morrison out. So we'll see what he's able to do. Obviously, you got a guy like Xavier Watts on the back end, All-American safety. So definitely Notre Dame, they've got some ball hawks. They can take it from you if you're not careful putting it in the air. They can run the football. I think they should win going away. Yeah. But to your point, don't walk in there thinking, "Oh, we got this. It's in the bag." Don't do that. Yeah, a team like that, you never know.
Yep. This one of those times you start with an onside kick. Just out of nowhere, or a fake punt. This is where one of those games where the fake punts come in or the onside kicks come in. A game-changing play that rocks people, and it's too tight of a game. You got to be on your P's and Q's. But like you said, Freeman's gonna have the boys prepared because he knows what's at stake for himself too. Like it's a lot. Like this is they're in the thick of it, and he knows they got to come prepared.
That's right. Yeah. So. Yeah, those are the two games I'm looking forward to this weekend. Not really too much else going on. I'll tell you next weekend, and we'll talk about that next week. I believe you got that Indiana at Ohio State. I think that's going to be really good.
That'll be a great one.
Yeah. And so
I want to see Indiana win. I like the way Indiana's rolling. I like that it's just different teams. But we'll see. We'll see when we get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. I like Indiana as well, not to win. And the reason why is simple. Ohio State is a team physically that's built to match up with and possibly beat their SEC level counterpart. I don't believe Indiana is there yet. And so that's what I want to see. I don't want to see the SEC win another championship. No, I don't need that. And so Ohio State, I think, is built to do it. Again, I don't believe in Penn State, even though they have an elite defense and they're a very fast team. I just don't believe in them. So Ohio State is probably, and of course, Oregon, the number one team in the country. Oregon is built SEC style as well, and we'll get to that momentarily. But Dan Lanning has done a tremendous job there. But yeah, so those are that's our Week 11 look ahead. Those are the two major games we're looking at. And real quick, Georgia number 3, Georgia number 16, Ole Miss. That should be a good one, but I think Georgia's going to get that.
Yep, they
just
should.
too good, and
They should.
Lane Kiffin is an outstanding coach, but Georgia, man, they just got too many athletes, and that defense is mean.
Yeah.
They can take you out of everything that they want you that you want to do, and take the game away from you and make it very difficult to get back into it. So
yeah,
that's what
I would say this Indiana-Michigan game, but Michigan is not the Michigan that we
No,
thought Michigan was.
no, they can't pass the football at all.
So Indiana should win that. It's at Indiana too. Indiana's home, so they should win that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough, man. Michigan, they're so one-dimensional. It's just tough.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard Joel Klatt say this, that JJ McCarthy, and a lot of times we look at him and say, oh, he was just a game manager. He was the number one third down quarterback in the country last year. Like, that's huge, Not to say that they had a whole ton of instances where they were at third and long, but even still, he was the best third down quarterback in America. That says a lot, especially when you got guys like Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. All these guys are in the league now doing their thing. And to say that JJ McCarthy was, ahead of them in that extremely important offensive statistical category says a lot. And you can see the difference, obviously. Yep. All right. So let's get to our last topic, and that's college football playoff rankings before I let you get out of here. So as we mentioned earlier, Tuesday was the first release of the initial college football playoff rankings. And so I'm going to go ahead and show the 1 through 25 here.
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much held true to form. I'm not upset. I like it. What are your thoughts on this in seeing this 1 through 25?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's pretty solid for me. I personally, I like Miami up there at 4. That looks good. That looks strong.
I'm iffy on them. On them.
Really?
Yeah, Cam Ward is outstanding. He has played tremendous ball, and whenever you need him, Miami has found a way to win, and that says a lot. Being able to find ways to win. But they should have a loss on their record. They got it. They escaped Virginia Tech with that win.
True.
Yeah, they should have a loss on their record. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's where. But
true.
They have still done everything they were supposed to do to this point. So
that's true. That's true. But yeah, it looks solid. I would like to see Army probably a little bit higher, but then you think about strength of schedule. Army doesn't have nothing crazy on their schedule.
Yeah.
Until they have Notre Dame later on, but that's too late. But
yeah,
I think that's a fair adjustment.
I agree. So I think what Army has to hang their hat on, right, is obviously intend to win out. I do believe they'll beat Navy. I got some bias there. Go Army, beat Navy. But no, I do believe that they'll beat Navy. I think they're a very good football team this year. I think they finished the year with 1 loss, and that's against Notre Dame. And then they beat Navy, and then they play for the conference championship, right? And I think they win that. So really, their chance at making the college football playoff now is going to be more dependent on what happens with Boise State. And so if they're able to defeat, win out, except for that 1 loss against Notre Dame, what happens with Boise State is going to play the role, because the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion gets in. And realistically, I don't think that the committee wants to see Army get into that playoff. I really don't. And the reason why is, and the service academies are so difficult to prepare for, because most of them run that triple option, that variation of that veer type offense, and so it's very difficult to prepare for. And a lot of times the way they block, a lot of guys get injured against them as well. And so we also know that this is a television product first and foremost, right? The college football playoff. A lot of money has been paid for this thing, and I think they are concerned of Army getting in and possibly pulling an upset. They'd rather see Boise State pull an upset than Army. And that's kind of my thought on that. And that's why they said, okay, we got to reward these guys for being undefeated, but we are going to keep them as low as we can so that the climb is difficult. And then again, it's all going to be dependent on what happens with Boise State. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I'm with that. I'm spot on with that. Boise State's been looking good. They got a strong running back, and we gonna
Hmm.
see how it all finishes. There's a good start.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So when I looked at this, I thought about something, and I think you'll like this, right? Colorado is ranked 20th. Okay, they've got 2 losses. They're 20th. However, that is a team that has an opportunity, an outside opportunity to still, and we talked about this, get to the Big 12 conference championship game. If they can pull that off, they're automatically in,
Yep.
right? As a power 4 champion, they're automatically in. And so that could get really interesting. And what would that say about the 2-year turnaround job that Coach Prime would have done for Colorado?
It's hard to debate it. It's hard to debate
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It was hard to debate, and then we would just wait to see what would happen while they're in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And if they go and win that whole thing,
So I think it's
must be a
unlikely, but
moment.
I think
Very unlikely, but I'd love to see it.
I think any game they play, if they get into the playoffs, is an absolute fireworks show.
Hmm.
And it would be great for the ratings, great for TV, great for college football. I think it would be incredible.
Incredible.
I really do. Um, you know how I feel about Shadur Sanders. That whole offense can really explode on you. But what I like as well is what we're seeing is that the defense is playing better. They're getting stronger and better in the trenches. They're not getting manhandled the same way. You can see, Warren Sapp's influence there, as I think he's
Hmm.
an assistant D line coach, obviously a Hall of Fame NFL defensive tackle, one of the best to
Hmm.
ever play that position. And so his influence is now you're starting to see it on that team. And so I like the fact that there is an opportunity and a possibility for that team, being Colorado, to make the college football playoff. I like
Yeah,
it a lot.
me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Can't wait. They gonna do
yeah,
it.
yeah. I, I'm I love that there are 12 teams here. I love it. I
Yeah.
hated the 14 playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, Oregon. I guess we kind of jumped the shark on that one. How good is Oregon? What chance do you give them of winning it all?
They got a strong chance. They're moving the ball well. They're a
Mhm.
complete team. Their defense is
Yep.
strong. Offense is looking good. They got a strong chance.
I have to agree with you. And this is what I wanted to touch on earlier, is that Dan Lanning, he used to be Kirby Smart's defensive coordinator. And so he's an SEC guy. So he built this team, even though it's out west, in the SEC image, tough in the trenches, run the football, physical, play outstanding defense, get big bodies where it counts most. And so you're watching Oregon. This is a really good football team. They've got an outstanding quarterback, the Heisman front runner, and Dylan Gabriel. I think this is 5th year in college. He's second all time in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel is, I doubt he's going to be outstanding on the next level, but he's an outstanding all-time great college quarterback, right? And so that gives them the opportunity to really, right now they're in the driver's seat, right? They're in pole position. And I think this is a team that once they get in there, they get that first round bye. If everything matches up, they're on to the semifinals. I do believe that. Now, obviously, you got to play the games, right? But if everything matches up and the seedings aren't crazy, I think this is a team that's in the Final Four easily. Oregon's that good, and Dan Lanning has done a great job building this team. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, they're strong. They are strong. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. They got a great chance.
Yeah, yeah, strong and fast,
That's right.
right? Yeah, yeah. No, they've got it all. Let's see. A&M is looking from the outside. They're number 14 right now, but like we talked about, if they can stay focused, they have an opportunity, even with 2 losses, to get to the SEC championship game and maybe even win the thing, right? And then obviously, you're the SEC champion, and we know what time it is, right? You're probably going to be number 2 in the final ranking, or it wouldn't surprise me if they were number 1, but I'm not going to get into my conspiracy theories. But no, A&M has a legitimate chance of getting in. Notre Dame, they just have to win out. They have an opportunity. And then again, depends on what happens above them. If there's chaos or whatnot, they could possibly host a game. Right now, if the playoffs started, they would be playing at Penn State. I think that would be a really good game, two elite defenses, and it would be who doesn't make the mistake and what quarterback can make just enough plays to get the game won, right? So you got that. Tennessee and Indiana, that would be a great one. Tennessee, really good defensively. They can run it. Indiana, as we've seen, can put up a whole lot of points, but we've got to see it against a good team, right? Even if they lose to Ohio State, but they put up some points and they put up some numbers, then it's like, okay, they're for real. We got it. Okay. So that's what I want to see. And then, of course, you've got Bama at sitting at number 11 right now, and that could change, obviously, if they go down to Baton Rouge and they win in Death Valley on Saturday night. So some really good stuff going on here. I don't believe Miami. They look like they have smooth sailing all the way through the ACC title game. I don't think they played Clemson. That was the team that I thought might have a chance to kind of mess things up for Miami, the fly in the ointment. But I don't think there's any way they're going to play him. So we got what we got. Miami looks like they're in a good spot as well. So, so far, I like the way these rankings played out. And again, it's only the first one, right? So we got to keep that in mind.
Got to keep it in mind. That's right.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, I don't think any fan base should be going nuts on where their team is positioned in the college football playoff rankings, because we got to remember it's a TV product. They want us discussing this thing. They want us beefing about it. They want us debating it, because all that drives up the interest. So we got to keep that in mind.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Ryan, man, that's it, man. Another good week of college football. And again, we've got a couple of really good games, maybe three or four good games to look forward to this weekend. So I'm excited about that. I know you'll be Roll Tide at your house, and
that's right.
I actually will be rooting for Alabama as well against the Fighting Brian Kellys, right? But yeah, got some good stuff coming up this weekend. So I'm gonna let you get out of here, man. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Make sure you enjoy the game. Stay safe this weekend. Everybody watching and listening, thanks for tuning in to the Format Podcast. My guy Ryan and I are talking some college football with you. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you leave a comment. We love that. It helps us out. All right. So yeah, let's get out of here on that note.
Yep.
And we out. Peace.